Those of you who have been on my channel for a while now will know that I've seen too much horrendous hentai. I've watched so many of these series that I can now confidently say that I've seen it all. Yes, I've seen the worst of the worst, and it's time to raise awareness so that you won't ever have to see this shit. With all of that being said, some of the hentais in this video have not been reviewed on this channel, and that is because it was painful enough to watch them, and after going through all of them again for the sake of this video, I feel even worse. Number 5. They couldn't find someone better to watch. Can't use just gonna run away. Run for your life. What the fuck is the direction is so shit in this. He just has a flashback and he finds his sister and what the fuck? he vanished. The direction, please. Somebody help this anime. How the fuck did she unlock that door? Where did she come from? How? How? Explain how. Where did she come from? Explain how she did that. Well, okay. I'm gonna kick off the top 5 with the hentai I easily find the most tolerable. Aki Sora is just bad if nothing else. In this anime, Sora fucks his sister Aki, except that you can't see any of that because nothing is shown. Yes, this hentai is censored by itself. This is a hentai that tries to be a serious anime with plot, but is nothing more than a bad incestuous story featuring immortal number 764 and her unprecedented love for her brother. Like many hentai, and sadly even anime nowadays, there is absolutely no plot to speak of. In this world, there are no parents to be seen and in this case dealt with, there is no police, there are no other people besides Aki and Sora, and the situations they find themselves in are ludicrous, exaggerated, and also unbelievable because of plot contrivances. The direction is garbage, the exposition is worse, and the animation is average, if not worse at many times, although the art itself isn't horrible by any means. Other visual aspects of the show include so much fucking bloom that it would make Sunday without God blush in shame. It's the case with every hentai I mention here, but there are simply much better hentais out there for you to watch. Aki Sora was a waste of my time, and I'm not gonna let it waste any more of yours. While we're on the topic of hentais that wish to be anime, I had to include this one. Yosuga no Sora is horrendous. I'd hoped to forget this anime and I kept running away from it, in hopes I would never end up reviewing it. The more I ran away, the more it came back to bite me in the ass. And whether I have not reviewed it doesn't really matter right now, because I have a few things to say. Like I mentioned, this hentai tries very hard to be an anime, but it fails miserably at that. A hentai is ultimately just that, a hentai, no matter how much you try to censor it or how much you struggle to create a plot for it. I am sure that there must be a hentai somewhere out there that has good plot, but this is not one of them. The hentai starts us off with probably one of the worst first episodes of this generation, where nothing happens. The plot also centers around several female love interests for this flat, one-dimensional protagonist. Needless to say that the only way you could make this worse is by adding incest into the mix. And this anime has that too. Also, fuck parallel universes. The animation and art are good, but nothing to brag about. Fuck Yosuga no Sora with its censored shit plot that make Aki Sora seem competent by comparison. Number 3. Whenever I mention Boku no Pico, I am reminded by everyone that this anime is believed to be the very worst. The plot revolves around a gay pedophiliac relationship pummeled to death with cliches out the ass and disgusting animation and sound mixing. To make it even worse, or better, depends on you, there are traps in this anime as well. Let me wake up from this cow shit weeb fantasy story and remind you and everybody else why you should never watch it. On top of everything I've already just said, the plot is dog shit, world building, just like the previous two hentais, is nonsensical for the same reasons, and nothing else this studio has done is worth a shit. This is one of those shows which never should have existed, but it's nowhere near the worst because there are still two pieces of shit we haven't talked about. Number 2. This has become a fucking classic on my channel. The live reaction for episode 1 of this show had 170,000 views before it got pulled off YouTube for absolutely no fucking reason. While I would love to argue and rant about my video, especially since I uploaded it again, but I already made sure that no cunt out there can report the video for no reason again. So let me talk about what makes this hentai simply unwatchable. Euphoria has a plot with so many fucking twists that Mirai Nikki or Naruto could learn a thing or two from it. There are also parallel universes and the exposition is plain bullshit, not to mention that it's given to the viewer in very bad ways. The development of the characters is shit, and so is the development of the plot, if you can call it that. The soundtracks are uninspired and lackluster. The only thing this anime has done right is the animation, which is mostly fluid when it needs to be. The problem with that is that because this is fetish land and the majority of the scenes are disgusting beyond belief, the anime takes pride in the fact that it has characters fuck every 4 minutes without any rest, leading me to believe that these are not human beings because, say it with me, people in hentais have godlike stamina. And Euphoria goes even beyond that. I've never seen people fuck so much before this anime. At the end of the day, nobody should have to watch this piece of shit, and I hope you won't. To those of you who will say that this is the worst hentai ever, I've got a pretty strong argument coming right up. Number 1. Remember earlier when I mentioned that some shows should never see the light of day? Yeah, this is not simply one of them. This is the absolute worst. Kuraku no Toki is not even funny. There are hentais which are bad to the point where they end up being good, but this is abysmal. It should be no surprise that nobody wanted to license this shit. There is no DVD out there for you to acquire, or at least none that I could find. And can you really blame anyone? I mean, who the fuck would even want to be associated with this abomination of human creation? Funnily enough, at the end of each episode there are the credits, of course, but not only is there no video to go with the ending song, because who gives a fuck, right? But there is also barely anyone credited for this hentai. And I can understand that. The plot in this hentai is a fucking mess. I don't want to explain the plot because I had enough fucking nightmares already. To say that this shit is fetish friendly is a grand understatement. It steps beyond just fetish territory to the point where I have to ask myself, I know that somebody animated this, and my question is, how? How would anyone go about animating something like this? And why would they? I mean, it's not like fetish anime is necessarily a bad thing in itself, but there are other shows out there that do this better and stay somewhat within moral boundaries. I absolutely despise this fucking show, and I went as far as to say I hope the creators of this get sentenced for life unironically. And while I can't say I still stand by that last part, one thing's for sure. I wouldn't wish Kuraku no Toki upon my worst fucking enemy. Just like every other hentai in this list, there is no fucking plot here, and if there is, it's so goddamn contrived that it wouldn't be worth mentioning, because it makes no fucking sense anyways. The animation is bad, there is no exposition because of the non-existent plot, the soundtracks are nowhere to be found. I'm sure I've heard a few songs during my watch of the hentai, But if I did, I forgot every single one of them because they were trash. I can't believe Koraku no Toki even exists. To this day, I am still flabbergasted as to why this was even made. I suppose there is a demand for everything when it comes to the hentai community. Either way, I would recommend you avoid this stinking pile of shit at all costs. Hey there folks, and if you made it to the end, then thank you. You must be wondering why this is a short video and a short list at that, and that's because I simply haven't seen enough anime to even begin to think of a top 10 or a top 20. In reality, after Koraku no Toki, I've tried my hardest to distance myself from hentai in general. I don't plan on watching any hentai anytime soon. Also, I'm not going to review anything on this list, since that would imply me having to watch the shows all over again, and that's not happening. However, I can answer your final question. Everything on this list, from top to bottom, gets a shit out of 10. A very fucking well deserved one. I wish I had a lower rating though, because Koraku no Toki was that fucking horrible. I'm done here. Have a good day. Now obviously my list is very short. There are many other bad hentai out there, and I've got 2 other hentais which seriously should have made the list, but they didn't, so I will quickly mention them anyways. Bible Black is simply a classic when it comes to hentais. While I do believe that everything in Bible Black is fucking dog shit, I have no needs to argue anymore about what's wrong with it. So let's just leave it at that. But there is one more, and this seriously made me scratch my head to the point where it almost morphed into a fucking question mark. Shiku no Kanojo. This hentai doesn't really need a description for itself. You can always go to Hentai Haven and check the hentai out if you wish to do so, but I wouldn't recommend that. I've only got one thing to say. This is why the creator of Pokemon doesn't want Ash Ketchum to grow up. This is why the creator of Pokemon doesn't want Ash Ketchum to grow the fuck. I hoped to forget that. Except that you can see... Fuck. In this hentai... Fuck. On top of everything I've already just said, the plot is dogshit, the plot revolves around a gay pedophiliac relationship pummeled to death by cliches out the ass and disgusting animation and sound mixing. Blah 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 blah. Yes,